staying local. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Appreciate it.
Okay. Any more public comment?
No.
Okay, so we're going to close public comment. Does anybody else have any more to say? You still had a little time left.
Time's up.
In response to his answer to the sewer line, is he going to be responsible for that sewer line all the way from there to 7th and
Yes.
Polk Street?
It's a lateral.
It's a lateral.
Yes, it is.
And you have to do something about that. Like I say, you know, a lot of people don't even remember that wasn't a 4-lane highway out there. And when Harvey built that house and went underneath there, you know, hey, we did a lot of things in the old days. But that's going to be a problem, and I don't want it to become a city problem. Thank you.
You went like 3 minutes over your.
I promise it'll take 5 seconds.
Let's move on. Come on, Julian. Let's move on, or else we can do this all night.
Okay, I just wanted to ask why the lawyer's not here because it is a public hearing.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay. Any more public comment other than the folks already spoke? All right, we're going to close public comment. We're going to bring it to us up here. I'm going to go left to right. Sound good?
Okay. Todd, did they get permission for that, where they put the shed on, to be placed now, and the fence, and is it county or is it city?
See, to answer your question, it's in the city limits,
Okay.
and fences do not require permits. So,
Are they on their line or our line?
based on the plans that we have, they do encroach into the public right of way.
Okay.
There's areas where they do encroach, not the whole way, but there are parts of it where it needs to be done. And the cargo container, that myself personally, I never signed off on a cargo container permit. It's been there since as long as I've been reviewing the project. Our building inspector, or I should say permit tech, Tim, does know about it, but there wasn't any violations indicated. Because I believe, you know, from what I can recall, it was part of a temporary thing.
So it's temporary, not permanent.
From what I understand, yes. But the other thing is, moving forward with these plans, there wasn't any like violations or anything like that indicated.
And the sewer, like they say, the sewer and the sidewalk, so if he's in the city limit, he does have to technically put a sidewalk in?
From what I understand, like, you know, curb gutter and sidewalk, this project did go to engineering for review. It did go in there. We did talk about it. It was deemed, because of the nature of the project and the small scale of that, curb gutter and sidewalk wasn't really necessary because of the scale of this development. 4 acres in size with 2 modular homes. Only about 3,500 square feet maximum development on a 4-acre site. So that's where it was deemed that no curb gutter and sidewalk was necessary up there.
And where's the water coming from?
As far as I understand, the water, from up there in that area, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, from the reservoir nearby up in there. But they do have a, like I might have to, probably cross-check a source or two. But I understand they have infrastructure on site that indicates water right there.
So the water, I don't know, there's water going to the property above them.
Mm-hmm.
The original plan was that they would tee off of that lateral as well, right in that area, and it's halfway up the hill. There's probably a better solution for water for them that's further up the hill that would allow a gravity feed situation, because the water halfway up the hill requires a pump to pump the water up to the Nyland home. Mm-hmm. So we're still in discussions around the water, but there's plenty of water. There's a water main right in that street. That's where the water gets down to the city. Yeah. And I don't think we've even discussed the sanitary sewer yet. Did the plans get engineer checked for the 4-inch sewer and get approved?
They did not get approved. It's pending on the test and a study on the integrity of the 4-inch water, of the 4-inch sewer the sewer line up there. That was another thing that was asked by to our engineer. And what he wanted to do, instead of hitting him up for a full-blown brand new line that was discussed, is to test out what the current 4-inch sewer line can do, and depending on what that test is. And that's one of the proposed conditions of approval.
Well, I think if they're in the city limits, I think they should have a sidewalk. They shouldn't be excluded, I think, because that can't be excluded from city regulation.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know you will probably go back.
Yeah, I know. I want to yield. I was going to yield to the next. Just to piggyback on your question. No, I think I want to think about it some more. I'll yield to the next person.
Having lived on a large parcel that was in Colorado or whatever, I don't see a recipe for sidewalks. That just doesn't make any sense to me on 4 acre parcels to put sidewalks and curbs in that kind of an environment. So I would, differ somewhat, from what Yolanda says, having lived on a large parcel. My main concern is the sewer line and the integrity of that 4-inch line that goes in. That's a big deal in my mind, is that we need to have that answered before we go forward. That's it.
Yeah, I'm agreeable. About the. I think the sewer is the main concern. I think here, I'm recommend to make it, with the engineer department, to make an study and just be sure about the line. I think, yeah. Other thing, no, I don't see any problem. Well, I'm agree as well about the curb is not necessary in that area. Yeah, no, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, well, in listening to everybody, I understand that with the proposed buildings that are going in, which is whether it's compatible with the area. I think for the site itself, it would be compatible. It's a rural lot, what have you. But it doesn't match the other homes that are on the same hill, virtually on the same hill. So there's a difference there. And then as far as what I heard about the permits, people doing things before even being permitted, I think that's a big concern of mine as to why this has been going on and the city didn't do anything about that. Because I think it happens a lot in San Juan for some reason. But anyway, that being said, so the buildings I'm comfortable with. The portable unit, if it's temporary, why is it still there? And if it's temporary, how long is it going to be there? And if it's not going to be temporary, what decisions do we have to make to authorize that to continue being there? Because if it's been permitted to be there temporary, so that means it has to be eventually removed. So if we're not going to remove it, then we'll need another permit or an exception to it staying there. And authorize it to stay there. So we have to, if we're talking about permits, you have to have a permit to do the things that you need to do. And it was authorized before, so we need to authorize it either to have it removed or have it stay there. As far as the view goes, I think the view, we've got homes up there already. So the view is virtually, when it comes to homes, it's not that it's been destroyed, but it's been compromised with buildings around in that area. So if we're going to add 1 or 2 smaller homes there, that wouldn't be of any greater impact. I think putting trees and landscapes up there, if you put a view, make it so that when you look up there you see nothing but trees, well, that's not going to say much for the people who live up there, because they're going to want to look out. When you look out, you're going to see nothing but trees too. So that has to be thought of too. I think this is a project that needs further consideration. I think we need to go back and make sure that we have all the restrictions before we go ahead and build on this, and probably bring it back and discuss those restrictions and make sure that we are going to do the right thing for that property, and that property owner has to feel comfortable that we're helping them and not hindering them from them moving in and building there. And I think as far as the neighborhood goes, I think I listened to them. I think there's a lot of concerns there we need to think about as far as whether they should be or there or not be there, and the safety that's involved, the sidewalks and all. I think there's a lot of discussion. We need to hear more concrete reasons why we're going to do what we're going to do. And I think there's a lot of ifs in the air right now. And when it comes to that sewer, I think it's really critical that we get an understanding of how that's going to work, because we don't want our new owners of that property to be going through something that's going to really hamper them as far as the livability and what about the future growth of that area. So it's an R1. Is that one parcel right now?
Right now,
It could be split, and other homes could be put in there too. So we have to think about the future growth of that area, and the accessibility being that that's city property here up in there too as well. Not to mention lighting. There's a lot of things that I think we haven't even come close to discussing, that we need to do before we adopt a resolution to go ahead and build. That's where I'm coming from. So if I were to be asked to vote on this right now, I wouldn't say yay on it until I heard more about it.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Okay. I've got stuff written everywhere, pages all over the place. That sewer line that's a huge concern too. Like Mr. Bach says, I don't want anything coming back in the city. We're here for the city and for the residents, and that makes sense. The road the driveway was cut to the storage container. Any type of grading like that, does that have to be permitted?
As far as I understand, I don't know if a grading permit was actually ever issued for that. I know it's been there for a while. I personally don't have any record of a permit that's been, put in there.
Okay. Yeah, because soil has been disrupted. Base rock has been brought in. There has been some changes to the property.
Let's get a motion.
And I'd like to. We need to find out if that's something we need to permit. I know that the homes are ballpark 1,200,000 square feet. How large is the storage container going to be? Your storage shed?
It's about 600 square feet. That's the bottom building.
Yeah, and you say proposed, so that's something that we'll probably see again on that one. Definitely the fences before anything good, and I agree with David. We've got a ways to go here because you've got to move your fences. Put them in the wrong spot.
We just followed the existing 60-year-old barbed wire.
Okay.
So
okay. But due diligence means,
Sure.
So, sorry.
No worries.
Before we go any farther with that, in my opinion, with that project, those fences need to be moved.
Yeah.
So we need to delineate whose property is who. I did notice. I drove up there today. Is there a well on that property?
No.
What's the pumping?
That is
The
for
pressure.
the pump to go up to
Is that
500 up at the top. That's his house. 500.
Up at the top. Okay.
Yes. That is a substation from the main pump pressure back up to the top.
Got it. Okay. I knew there was some type of launcher for that system. The main feed for that reservoir goes down through Polk Street. That's the 12-inch. That's our big. That's the big dog because it broke a while back ago. Caltrans did some no-nos, and it's been there forever. Getting water to that is going to be kind of dodgy.
Get water to their property.
Yeah, to their property, unless they're going to tap in at the top and run some type of a.
Yeah, there's a hydrant there that's already tapped in with a line right there.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to that hydrant in a second. Asked about the grading, the storage container. That's like you said, it's temporary.
Yes.
So temporary as to when the shed is built, and then
I had sent an email over to Tim, and I believe Todd. I'm not sure if you got it. That's just a temporary thing until we're done with construction. I have nowhere else to keep my hand tools to build and do stuff up there. We're kind of in the middle of selling one house and transitioning, so
okay.
I don't have anywhere else for my stuff to go at this moment.
Okay. So you're a construction company, but you put modular homes in?
Yes.
Okay. that hydrant at the top of the hill, I know Charlie signed off. I'd like to see his memo too. I know he signed off on it, but in my world, I don't really like driving to the top of the hill and hooking a hydrant and coming back down the road to go up a longer driveway. We're talking a couple thousand feet, and I know their engines don't have a couple thousand feet of 5-inch, so that's kind of an odd spot for calling that. The driveways they're going to be an all-weather. What's the weight rating?
Aggregate base.
What's the
No, aggregate base.
okay? And is it going to be? Because I know Public Resource Code minimum is like 40,000 pounds. So what is it going to be?
Driveways are not proposed to be used to turn on a fire apparatus, but they would support a fire truck. It's going to be 6 inches of compacted aggregate base.
And what's the rating on that?
It'll handle a fire truck.
Okay. So if you're talking fire truck from Hollister, you're talking 100,000 pounds. If you're talking fire engine from here, you're talking 60,000 pounds. So that's what I'm getting at is that what's the weight? And yeah, minimum we got to follow Public Resource Code, especially on a hillside. I know that hill well. I grew up on Washington Street, 68 Washington Street. At one point in time, I probably could tell you every blade of grass on that hill. So I don't really know about the whole endangered species. I do know I have a little bit of knowledge in amphibians because I have a salamander named after me. So that I found. And I can't tell you. I can't even tell you the name anymore, other than there's a lot of Latin in my name in it. But let's go back. I'm going to go to we have a hillside development regulation, and in one of the findings in the 11-08-080, in C it says that the regulations are necessary to protect the viewsheds of the hillside areas along the scenic corridor of Highway 156 and other rural roads. And I get that, and that makes sense. And I was looking at your landscaping. The plants you're going to put along the driveway are lavender plants in 1-gallon pots. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What's a lavender plant on a good day, a good year of rain? We're talking, maybe 3 inches a year, maybe 4 inches a year. Okay, so that's not going to really hide much, is it?
The lavender isn't intended to do the hiding. We're using trees to
I saw the trees, and that's are they going to be the large, like the big 45? Not the 45 gallon, but the large one, like you see at Tree Haven. I mean, are there going to be established trees, or is it going to be in a 5-gallon pot that's going to take 20 years to mature?
I think it would please the commission. The McGovern would be happy to buy the larger size trees and put them in.
Okay. Because that could help, meet the intent of this ordinance. Personally, I'd like to see story poles up there. See how tall your ridge lines are going to be. See how much they're going to stick out. These houses are going to stick out on that hill. I know the one up a little bit higher is probably going to be, compared to the one at the top of the hill, you're probably not even going to notice them, but I would hate to come back 5 years later and people just chewing my butt because we put some houses on the hill and we could constantly see them, and the public would be all mad, and it kind of covers this hillside ordinance intent. So that's kind of something, and I'm with you about moving on. We have a lot of questions, especially that sewer line. That's huge. I read up on your soil samples, a lot of this, and then I looked at Google Earth. Fortunately, that piece of property is fairly stable, but man, you got slumps above you and all around you. It's like I said, I used to watch the mud come down that hill, and it used to make me nervous. And when the Lang Street project went through, we thought, oh boy, here it goes. But it never did They never did blow up, so, yeah, Bob's house never went by mine. So, yeah, and I know the soils report was pretty nailed. It was pretty efficient. 30 pages, I read it. It was entertaining. But yeah, I'm all for continuing this, and we need to get that engineering for the sewer line first and foremost. We need to move the fence so we can make sure everybody knows whose property is what, and then move on. And yes, it is in the city limits. I don't know, I'm not sure why you got a permit from the county, but because this is the city of San Juan Bautista and we have our own fire permits.
Excuse me, I'm Dave. I'm the property owner. We came here, I came here to get the permits, and they sent me this Hollister.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hollister, and I explained Hollister, and I told Hollister that I am burning exactly where I'm burning, and they were okay with it. They gave me the permits, and then I came back here the morning that I burned, and let them know, showed them their permits. We went up there, we burned. Michelle ended up there. 2 other people came up there. The fire department came up there because we have complaints, and it was all good to go. They signed it off. I stayed there the entire day until just what they said. The sun came down, and I put it out. I did exactly what I was told.
Okay.
Yeah, in this case, it was just miscommunication, I think, between whoever was on duty here, and because it was on, I don't know if it was on a weekend or what, but they sent him to Hollister. I was alarmed because, of course, I know about burn permits, and we're always shutting down permits in any type of burning in the city. So it was very, very obvious that it was happening. So I went out there right away, and it checked out. It was just our fire department here, something there. They had the proper paperwork. I called around. Everything was legit. They weren't misconstruing anything and trying to represent a county house in a city. That was not the case, as somebody had stated.
Okay. That happens with jurisdictions. I get it. So yeah, does it, just kind of a straw poll here, does it sound like we want to see this in the future? We want to get some more answers?
Can I say one more thing first?
Of course.
On a real positive note, I'd like to congratulate Matt on a very well written report that you did. It was very comprehensive, half of which I had absolutely no clue what you were talking about, but nonetheless, it was still comprehensive.
Thank you.
And thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was. It was easier to read than the soils report.
That's
for sure.
I had a question. I couldn't follow the. Are you suggesting another fire hydrant? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I would think something closer to the residents. Because aside from the wharf hydrant that's at the top of the hill, I don't even know if that's on a pump.
It's not.
Yeah.
Scott,
aside from that one at the top of the hill, there's no other hydrants other than Lang Street.
I didn't
Lang and Washington.
catch all that. All right.
And that's a terrible one at Lang and Washington.
Scott, I just wanted to ask, earlier in your conversation, in your analysis, you were asking about Chief Bedola's memo.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a copy of it right here.
Oh, great.
To pass it over to you.
Yeah,
Excuse me, I'd like to say something about the hydrant.
Yeah.
Can you come up to the speaker?
Sure.
We need to have this on record.
When I purchased this property from Nyland, prior to purchasing, said I want to make absolutely sure there was R1 and that we could build up there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought the property. It was really expensive. It took every dime that we had to get up there and to buy that property. And with that property came the sewer line that we're talking about. It's authorized to have six units up on top and 2 on my property tied into that 4-inch because of the goes under the street. And he told me that was one of the things that goes with the property. The second thing is on the fire hydrant is we were confused a lot. There's 2 different fire hydrants that we're talking about here. One is a small dwarf hydrant at the top of the hill at the old water tower. Mm-hmm. That's non-existent. It doesn't work. It's dry. So that was a big issue. Well, Nyland had to put in a fire hydrant,
in order to split up the property, and I'm able to tie off of that. That was part of the deal here. I was able to tie off that brand new hydrant that's there. It's a big, huge hydrant, and it just needs to be brought across the street and tied to our property. And it's also for the run that's going to go up to the development, if there is a development up there. That was on there too, and he sent me all the pictures, and he sent me everything for that. So the hydrant's covered, and the sewer pretty much is covered. So I think there's a lot of confusion here on what here.
What's confusing me now is now you own the home at the top of the hill?
No. My neighbor Dave.
Okay, so you own the parcel on the
I own the
side.
parcel right below him.
Okay.
That adjoins to him. So I'm the one that owns the property that we're trying to develop the two homes.
So the property on the top of the old Nyland property, that's not included in your
No, but there's an easement that goes from Dave's property that Nyland did when he did his lot adjustment that brings an easement from the top all the way down. And in that easement is the sewer, the electrical, and the water.
Yeah.
So we were able to tie in to the Dave's at the top. And I even asked him, and he's my neighbor now, so I even asked him, is it okay? Are you okay with us tying into it? No problem at all whatsoever. That was part of the purchase of this property. We would have never bought this property if we couldn't just come up there and build.
It was a settlement.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah.
It's
part of the settlement might include these entitlements.
Yes, that we have. Otherwise, I would have never spent.
Did you pull the settlement agreement from? So when we put the tank in, we did eminent domain on that hill. There was this big trade with Nyland, X amount of development, subdivision. Did you pull that?
There was a case file that came across, like back when the parcel was split up in there.
This is a lawsuit. This is a eminent domain lawsuit. The city versus Nyland. There was settlement agreement. Nyland got certain things. I just went through this because Nyland was trying to sell that land to an environmental conservation. So we went through all these settlement agreements. There are several entitlements that came with that property. We need to dig them up and get that cleared.
And also, I'd like to just step back a minute here and talk about the sewer. A few months ago, I called 811 to see if I can have everybody mark everything out there. The electrical company came out there. They marked everything. Everybody came out except for San Juan. San Juan didn't come out because there's no records, or they couldn't find them. We didn't have anything at all. So me and my son took it as licensed general building contractors. We took it on our own initiative to go out there and help the city by probing and finding where every line is there, every electrical line, everything that needed to be done. So we did a lot of research, and we spent a lot of time on that property. We found out that line, and in the process of chasing that line down, we found a sewer leak. And this sewer leak has been leaking from Dave's property for well over a year. And it was running into the storm drain. It was coming down. It had broke. It went down the hill, and it was flowing into the storm drain. And no one could see it because the freeway is going so fast right there, you can't notice it. But I seen the smell, and I saw it, and it was completely broken, completely clogged. I called them, and I called Todd, and I said, listen, we need to fix this. This is an environmental hazard. This is a waste going into the storm drain. So they said, okay, we're going to look into it. We're going to check it out. They had their people, the city came down, and they dug it up. And I explained to them exactly where it was, what we were doing. I've done this many, many times. I lived in a property in Hollister with 8 acres. So I know the curb thing and all that kind of stuff. And like she said, it's absolutely ridiculous to put a curb up there. I mean, no one goes up there, no one drives up there. What purpose does it serve? And the view is going to be just horrific. Go back to the drain. So what we did was I asked them to dig it up. They did a temporary fix, and they just put a line across it. Well, me and Kevin thought, you know what? We need to take care of this. We need to help out San Juan, and we need to take care of this. So we went to the local store, and we got all the proper fittings and everything, all the proper pipe, and we cut and repaired that entire thing. In fact, we went to the city, and we pulled permit. We got the inspector the main inspector to come out, and I called him on the phone. I said, could you please come out here, and I'd like you to inspect this before we put it back. We did the proper thing. We put the right gravel, we put the right sand, we put the right clean out, the proper clean out, and then when we were done doing it, I had him come out again when the project was done, when me and Kevin were done with this, to come and inspect it for a final. He came out there and said, you did an absolutely beautiful job. And they know that they all got this information. And we did. In fact, we went on and above to where we put a really nice, where the clean out was, we put a nice high tub on there, and then we went the extra mile and put a really nice 4-foot pole, painted it yellow in concrete with little lights. So anybody that comes up or down that street, it's very visible, you can see it. And we did this on our own, just to further along the process and help the city with our project. And that's not to include a number of projects that we've just been helping and doing. For instance, the ballpark. We went and I think it was a safety hazard for all the kids. And I love children. I have a few of them of my own. There was a lot of things there. There was a step going up to the ballpark that was broken, and it was sticking out this high. And it's a very real tripping hazard. We tore it all out. We put brand new stairs and a brand new rail. This past 2 weeks ago, we went down there, and they have a top, and it's sticking out, and it's all broken, and the kid could just hit his head and just rip his head up. Me and Kevin went down there on Saturday, and we ripped that whole entire front counter off at the concession stand and put a brand new one. We didn't ask the city for any money. We did all these things on our own with all our own money. So I would just, I didn't want to come over because I get real nervous when I talk, but I think it was time for me to come up here and express myself and just say that I'm doing everything I can, the best I can. We are to help the city and do everything correct. I think more important is us spending time helping fixing some of these streets and some of these curbs that are sticking up 2 feet, that are a tripping hazard. That's amazing what the damages are around here. I mean, I would love to even go with a truck and get some, I was talking to my son about it, and get some gravel and just fill some of these potholes around here. Just out of the back of the truck, just dump some in there, dump some in there. We've done these projects without anything, and I've alerted them, and I've told them what we were doing and when we were doing them. And we've done them all. We've done. I feel that we've done a really, really lot for this community. And I would have never bought that property if I didn't think that we could have gone up there. So Nyland did give me. It came with the property that we're able to use that sewer and tie into it. We're able to pull the water from the top, the big hydrant that he paid hundreds and thousands of dollars to do. There's plenty of water. I mean, I don't see where we're having so much issues with it, or I just want to get it up there. It's just me and my son. I'm a single parent. I'm a military vet. All I want to do is have my little house up there and my son next to me, and that's it. That's all I'm asking for. And I have nothing else to say. Thank you very much for everybody listening. Thank you. And it was a pleasure meeting everybody. Thank you so much. And the fence, it's gone. I could move it in 24 hours. I think it'd be gone.
And it would be irresponsible for us not to ask these questions. You have to understand this is what...
Absolutely, and I totally understand. I wasn't going to come up, but I thought, you know what? It's time for me to come up now, and it's time for me to really let it go and let you guys know who I am and express myself. But I work really, really hard, and my son's really, really hard, and we're really, really good at what we do. And we put that fence up there. We've helped our neighbor pull his fence. We've put his fence in line. We've made it beautiful. We've cleaned that property 3 different times, all the way up for the city on either side. If you drive up there like you did today, it's completely mowed, the entire place, all the way up there, and weed whacked around all that area, and none of that belongs to us. But we see that as we go up, and I'm very clean, and I'm kind of very anal with that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what we do. We spent 5 hours just cleaning that road just last week on Tuesday. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Okay.
He has certainly assuaged a lot of the questions that I have written down. I mean, that we didn't know before. Looks like he has deeded access to, or...
Mike, I gotta look at the paperwork. There's a chance. I haven't looked at it in a while. That's an action item I gotta take. Right now, it's just, a possibility.
And we need to... I realize there is a sewer line up there, but we still need to find out if it's going to be able to support 2 more homes. that shouldn't be 100% on them because they're not going to get anything out of the 6. But so let's do this. Dave, your concerns were.
Well, you heard it. No. My concerns was to make sure that everything that we got out there is permitted properly, and also of the temporary shed that's out there or container that's out there, being it's temporary, how long that will expire, and if so, do we authorize it to stay there permanently or whatever? That needs to be addressed. The fence was one thing, the sewer was the other thing that we needed to look into to make sure that that's done correctly. And as far as the site is concerned, the buildings is concerned, I think I don't have any other problems with what else is going in there. I just want to make sure that we are united in doing the right thing for this property so that we can expedite and move forward in a positive direction, expedite and go as fast as we can to get these people moved in there.
Yeah.
But we want to do it right, and we want to make sure that if there's going to be any future growth out there, that we can use this as an example to continue to develop that area as well as this one's going to be developed. And so it's not really to slow things down, but to speed things up, but make sure we're doing all the right things. I think the lighting that needs to be done out there, too, I'm with you on the as far as street lighting goes and things like that. The fence, we already talked about that. About the, we need to discuss the sidewalks, the street gutters and things like that, if that's going to be necessary for that area. And pretty much what all the other concerns was pretty much that. That's it. Let's go with that right now.
Just, get right permits, follow city ordinance, not just say, no, you got to do, because it's in the country, it's city. Mm-hmm. And now they're aware that it's city, right? You guys know that?
They know.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
we knew that.
We knew it from the beginning. We always knew that.
Okay.
Anything?
Larger trees?
Yep. Landscaping upgrade. Let's look at another. Let's look at another alternative towards what we've got there. Let's give us a good idea on. We want to follow this. Our hillside development regulations as close as we possibly can. Mm-hmm. So if we can make it look much nicer, it would be nice to see trees back on the hill too. Because as a kid, I remember there were a whole ton of them. So landscaping upgrade. Reese, looking good. You guys are happy about the houses,
No
log
problem with
cabins?
the house.
I'm agree with you.
I know they're becoming very popular.
They're affordable.
The water hydrant, are we going to have
The hydrant. Well, I think sir, I think you mentioned something about being able to move your water line. Be able to maybe. I can talk to Charlie before we even go into moving hydrants and stuff. But I mean, if the fire marshal's good with it, I mean, I can't debunk that.
Yeah, just real quick. Like I said, when I bought that property, Nyland specifically put these hydrants, and they're big and they're adequate, and we can tie right into them, and it comes right across the street. And from where the hydrant is, to me, is relatively close.
Okay. And they're fine.
And the reason why is because we don't want to have to tie into the old line that's halfway down the road and have to pump it up, when we can have a brand new, really nice big line that's right at the top and it flows down. So if electrical was to go out or something, we'd still have some sort of water.
And those things come with sprinklers, none of those.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. They come 100% with sprinklers.
Wow.
They're actually built even a little bit better than they say homes because they're 2x6 exterior walls. Mm-hmm. They got great insulation. They're made to travel on the road in long distances, and so that's why they have to make them a little bit better. And they're cost effective, but they still cost money. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this.
And permanent foundations.
Permanent foundations. We already have everything ready to go. Posts in the ground. We're ready. We've been ready for this for quite some time.
Sure.
And I'm doing everything I can to make this possible or happen. And I fully appreciate every ear that I had here tonight.
Okay. Well, thank you. So you got the list, roughly.
Let's see.
Permits
for the container and the driveway grading and all that.
The big one's the sewer line.
Yeah, sewer line. Yeah.
Just like in the conditions, just to make it tested properly to see.
Make sure it's going to be able to support it.
Okay, and just what that's going to show us, and that'll be our deciding factor. Okay, larger trees, permits, for the containers.
Yeah, let's look at a different landscaping layout. as far as like, and they sound like they're willing to put larger trees in, which would be fantastic.
Already mature trees, maybe.
Yeah.
Come in big pots, dig a
Yeah.
hole, put them in already ready, don't have to wait for it to grow.
Yeah.
50 gallon is
Yeah.
a good.
That's the 50-gallon job, or just the big box one.
Yeah.
What about the orange stuff? Do you want the-
You know what? If they're willing to do mature growth, so it's in there ready to go before the buildings get there, then I don't need to. Yeah.
Absolutely. We've actually picked around on the further up by Gilbert, some big, huge ones ready to go in pots.
Okay. Good.
We're ready for it.
And then like clarification on the water supply too.
You know what? Like I said, it sounds like Charlie's. Fire marshal's good with it. I mean, it's how they operate. So it'll give me grief at my work, but it's okay. It's his thing. The sidewalk thing is going to be I think we're going to be kind of split on the sidewalk thing, guys. We may have to figure out a way we can.
Well, whatever the code is, whatever we got to do, we got to go by that. And if there's any exceptions to that, we have to authorize it. That's all there is to it. I mean,
Yeah, if there's some kind of.
if we're not going to put in the sidewalks, then we got to give them authorization not to do so, and then maybe mandate it so that if there's any further development, this is what they got to do.
Yeah, because the bugger is their house is up high, so
Yeah.
from one top of the property all the way down to the bottom of their property would have to be a curb and gutter. And the road's already, it's only 14, 16 feet wide. It's not really, it's not even it's not even to code in a driveway sims. So it's like we add another, but we do have easement on the city property. I don't know, maybe we can, that'd be, gosh, seems like an awful lot of money.
City ordinance.
I know, and I've been doing this with the city
Yeah.
ordinances, so, yeah, we gotta see what we can do about that. I think after they move their fence, they're gonna probably get a better idea of how much municipal property there is there too. Question, might be, if we could work with them to do an in lieu of sidewalk, if they were to expand the road in a couple spots, they maybe put like an asphalt curb in. That way it's a little more accessible road. I don't know if you've ever been up there, it's pretty tight.
Has that been engineered yet as to how the runoff's going to go and what have you? Does it need some extra drainage there?
I don't know that it was originally engineered. I'd have to pull up the infrastructure stuff. They spent a lot of money on the plumbing and the water. I don't know if they actually did a lot on the civil and the groundwater. Obviously, they didn't address the sewer. That was surprising that was the remaining one sewer line going down there. I would have thought during the infrastructure project they would have fixed that sewer line. So I just have to look at the plans, the as-built on the old infrastructure project. But can't say.
So what are we going to say? We're going to come back with a lot of. We've got a lot of questions that need to be answered, so we're coming back to that.
We'll come back.
Is there anything we can go forward with at this time? We said okay with the fence. We're saying we're kind of thinking about a sidewalk, but not really thinking about putting anything like that in. So, is there anything they can go forward with?
How about replacing that storage unit with a permanent structure?
You got a permit for that?
Permanent structure?
No,
Yeah.
a permit for the permanent structure.
For
It's permanent storage.
permanent storage.
For
To
permanent
replace
storage
the
building.
metal building?
No permit for that. And also an accessory building, that requires a site design and review, which is covering this project. 'Cause remember, this project's covering 3 buildings, the 2 modular homes and then the accessory building. So that would be a 4.
Accessory building proposed.
Yeah.
At least that's what it said.
Yeah.
It's proposed, so we don't even see what we don't even see what it's going to look like. Here's what I'm thinking: get that fence moved so we know where the property line is, and then get the engineering done on the sewer system before we even cut ground. before they even cut ground, just so we make sure that it's going to work for them, and they don't spend $100,000 in, the beginning of grading,
Right.
$200,000 to $300,000, and then all of a sudden they find out that the sewer line's not going to work for them, or
Right. Yeah, so let's get rid of all the obstacles and engineer that out of it and make sure that we can expedite everything else.
So I see like the fence and the sewer.
Right.
Doing the big.
That's just kind of holding up the whole thing right now.
that makes sense to everybody.
Do you guys want to do a quicker cycle on this one? Because we can go do the research on the sewer line rights and the engineering on the sewer line probably in a week, 10 days. You want to do a meeting in like 2 weeks?
No, let's
do
take it to the next, because I'm sure we all have schedules and calendars, and I would say if this was an emergency, then yes, but the last meeting shortened, and that last meeting we had, some folks were pretty upset because it was at 5 o'clock on a Monday, and it was, or 4 o'clock on a Monday, and they weren't able to be here, and I don't want to do that to folks again. So,
Well, you got the authorization to make the corrections, and we'll go from there. We can't go any further.
and they need to come. They
that gets done.
come back with their landscaping and show us what kind of trees, and you've got the tree. There is like kind of a tree guideline. Sir, are you familiar with that for San Juan?
No.
Yeah, I can go and give it to him.
Yeah, we'll have an idea on it.
I don't have any.
Because believe me, that'll come up. That'll come up.
As far as the architectural design, that's fine.
Yeah.
It even kind of coincides with the Nyland property, as far as exposed wood, what have you.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have our marching orders.
Let's see. I'm going to have it all written right here. Carbon container, status on that, and the grading. What kind of grading went into that? Any kind of permitting process. The sidewalk I have written down here, and larger trees, mature trees, sidewalk and fence, and sewer system, and then of course send the tree guidelines. But I think the sidewalk, we'll discuss that at a later time.
Yeah, I think we can do that and put an asterisk by the sewer job. Make sure that thing's going to work for us, for everybody. Okay, so we'll continue that next month. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. All right, we are on. That was what? A, the public hearing. Yeah, good. And here we go. B. In the public hearing, okay. Consider a request for a condition of use permit for the on-site sale of alcohol beverages at Hacienda de Leal at 410 the Alameda. APN number is 002-520-013. Approval of conditional use permit exempt from CEQA pursuant to Article 19, Section, the same one's 15300.2 and 15301. Applicant is Mark Medina, and it says Anne Frank Leal, but I don't think Mr. Leal. Oh, is he?
You got a COO.
Before we begin, I'll give a quick
staff report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Once again, Todd Kennedy. Okay, the item before you, conditional use permit for the Hacienda de Leal. This is something to add like an accessory, use or type of use to their business that's already existing for the dining accessory at the Hacienda de Leal. This item was brought before you back in December. I went ahead and presented it, and the reason why I wanted to bring it to your attention is that I couldn't find any record on the ABC website or in city records that an ABC license was ever issued. So based on the commercial zoning, the site tender is zone commercial, that on-site sale of alcoholic beverages require a conditional use permit. So when this document showed up on my desk by regular mail, looked it over, did the quick due diligence, found out it needs conditional use, and I introduced it back on the hearing of December 4th. So anyway, after talking with Mr. Medina, he provided the conditional use permit application right away, got it turned in. Back before, there's some information in the staff report about the previous minutes that date all the way back to March 3rd of 2015 Planning Commission hearing. At that time, there was a proposed substantial expansion of the Hacienda de Leal site for a new banquet hall and a couple other uses on there. At that time, it was asked, okay, further entitlements, including sequel review, in addition to a conditional use for ABC license. Since that time, the applicants have chosen to scale back that. They are not doing that. That's why I wanted to send you a current set of plans that show there's no new construction with this proposal. It's just to ask the commission to grant a ABC license or a conditional use permit for city staff to sign off on an ABC license back to the state. And that's what they're doing right now tonight. That pretty much concludes my presentation tonight. Myself or staff or the applicants can answer any more questions you may have tonight.
Okay. Dina, you're up.
Well, as we stated before, it's not a restaurant. It's not what it was in 2014. Basically, it's just a amenity that we will provide our guests. It's alcohol beverage control. We have the license. We're just looking for the conditional use permit.
And it's fair to mention that this is our second time, of course, winning the lottery for the ABC licensing. So we're coming forward, all of you, this evening to go ahead and, of course, grant permission for the conditional use permit. As you probably already know, the last 4.5 years, we've been very successful with the Hacienda de Leal as a boutique hotel in this actual, just not to San Bernardino County, but actually one of the best in the region. So we continue to enhance our occupancy year over year. The last 4.5 years, we've brought $425,000 to TOT revenue to the city. So we look to continue to grow and enhance. But part of that enhancement is adding an additional experience for our guests that stay with us at our boutique hotel. We love to increase our tourism here in San Juan Bautista to enjoy, of course, the beautiful historic community that we are, of course, residing in. So, yeah.
Is there any thought to further development as far as the banquet hall goes?
No, at this time, there's nothing, of course, we want to, of course, discuss at this time because we don't have any intention for a banquet hall.
Okay, let's open it to public and then bring it back to us. Do you have any public comment on this?
Yes. Ray Sanchez?
Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ray Sanchez. I happen to live directly across from Hacienda de Leal. I've been there for over 20 years. I've experienced being across from Hacienda de Leal for the last about 4 years. I want to share with you that, honestly, we have never had a single problem across the street as a neighborhood coming from the hotel before and coming from Hacienda de Leal as it stands today. They have been a very peaceful and respectful business. They have had many weddings and many events, celebration there, and we have never, at this point, have never had any problems there whatsoever. So I strongly support the idea of them being able to obtain their liquor license. And from a safety aspect, I must share that being so close to the highway, I have seen numerous ugly accidents, including one of the last wife of one of our members of the commission here before, along with fatalities. And those who have been here for a while know about this stuff. I think if we can avoid it, if the guests have the opportunity to enjoy a libation on their side of the road and not having to go across the street. On that note, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any others?
No.
Nope. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody? Okay. We're going to close public comment. We'll bring it up here. Luis, want to start? Good.
Nope. No comment.
Nope. Okay. And you're just applying for two of the codes on the general bona fide public eating place and catering. Yeah. Which is
the ABC carries both of those licenses.
And you have there's like a small pizza oven there or something like that, and a couple of preview pizzas too. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Is there anything other than just approving the conditional use permit?
No,
Goes on?
no, just, that's the only time.
Is there an hour on that where they can stop, like on the 18th barrel, they have to stop at a certain time? Do they have a cutoff as well or no?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all based on city code.
Okay.
Good question.
And those hours are from
I think
12 to 11 or
it starts up around 10 o'clock, I believe.
in the morning till?
10 o'clock p.m., I believe.
It cuts off?
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
I believe, yeah.
Do you have a, yeah?
Actually, can I chime in on that one?
Yeah.
It's technically 2 a.m. for liquor license, so we could sell until 2 a.m. So the nice thing about our property, obviously guests are in the privacy of their own rooms. So, we do comply with the noise ordinance. 10 o'clock, all, of course, noise has to be complete and finished off. So we're very respectful to all of our guests and our patrons that are staying with us in the property. But for consuming alcohol past the 10 p.m. mark is something that we would allow because the liquor license does authorize us to sell until 2 a.m. Okay.
We haven't had any complaints out there at all.
Sounds like we've got some happy neighbors out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to cross the street.
Hey, that's a good point. Okay, we're
Do they like to drink a lot?
What's that?
Is it going to be fancy foods like cocktails?
Is it just fancy or just wine?
Just beer and wine.
So we'll have beer, wine, and full liquor. So yes, of course, we'll have a specialty
Fancy
cocktail
drinks.
menu for you to enjoy.
Okay.
But then I got to cross the street.
We need a shuttle. We need shuttle to go there and then down.
They do have a shuttle. They have a shuttle. They have a shuttle too.
That would be like a monorail that goes from here and then out into the roadhouse and then back. Okay. Gang, what do you?
I'll make, oh, go ahead.
I was going to do the resolution to pass this. Yeah.
Come on.
Is this, I don't have my glasses, these are wrong glasses. Okay, resolution 2019-XX.
Six.
Well, it doesn't have it here.
Yeah,
But
that's
we're
six.
giving it a number.
Oh, okay, we're going to give it 6.
06.
6.
A resolution of planning commissions of the city of San Juan Bautista approving a conditional use of permit request for an existing hotel, Hacienda Dial, to sell alcohol beverages on site, 410 de Alameda in San Juan Bautista, APN 0002-520-013.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Not opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now we get to get to our. Okay, we ready? Okay, the next is 7. This is discussion items. Because these are discussion items, no action will be taken on these next 1, 2, 3, 4 discussion items. Okay, next is we're going to talk about discussion of the roundabout for the Rancho Vista subdivision. Staff?
So city engineer's going to give the report.
Okay.
Good evening. I think this is my first time addressing you fine folks. My name is Frank Lopez, contract city engineer. I'm here to talk about the Rancho Vista roundabout that's located, or the proposed roundabout that was located at La Menino Drive and 1st Street. Here tonight we have the developer here as well, who will also be here to answer any questions and present. But just to give you an overview and background of this location. So back in 2015, this development was conditioned by the city to construct a roundabout at this specific location. What ended up happening is during the design process in 2017, well, let me back up. In 2015, it was conditioned. Vesting tentative map was approved. Then design started up in 2017. That's when the developer's engineer started to develop, put together design plans, and identified that the roundabout was actually too small. And if you can picture a roundabout, this one in particular that was approved has an 85-foot circumference or a diameter. And so that was located at this site. What we then had the developer's engineer do is to look into what would work here. And so they went in and prepared a design and determined that they actually need a 105-foot diameter roundabout. So they hired a traffic engineer that analyzed that. And what came back was that it had to encroach onto the property to the east. And forgive me if I'm pronouncing the homeowner's name incorrectly, but Loaiza owned that property to the east. And so it would have to further encroach in order to include a 105-foot diameter roundabout. The reason for that is to be able to pass certain type of trucks through there safely and able to have the appropriate access there because, San Juan Highway is proposed to be an arterial roadway, which is supposed to be allowed to pass certain size trucks through that area. That was based off of, if you look at the staff report, we identified that San Benito County had identified that in their general plan. So the discussion that started to happen related to this roundabout was we did have a discussion with the property owner, and they do not want to give up any more right away than they have to, and so the 105-foot roundabout is not we can't accommodate that in this location. So we looked into, well, what else could be done here? And so the traffic engineer that the developer had hired, third-party traffic engineer, suggested an all-way stop at this location until more right-of-way can get obtained. Now, I don't think more right-of-way is going to be able to be obtained, so I think that's out the door. I think we're stuck with the options that we listed in our staff report, which is an all-way stop, which is always stop at this intersection, and then removing the stop at the intersection at Ahwani. Thank you. Removing that, or putting in this 85-foot roundabout, which again does not really pass the vehicles that we needed to pass through, and long-term doesn't accommodate the future growth in that area. So that's what we have here today. Included in the staff report were all the analysis that were provided by the traffic engineer that the developer has, in addition to the traffic engineer's report that was provided back in 2015 or so. So we're here to answer any questions related to this item. And like I said, John Kekas with Meritage Homes is here as well.
Okay, let's, any speaker cards? Can you show this?
Yes, Darlene Boyd.
Okay.
Thank you, Darlene Boyd, 22 North Street. I read staff's recommendations. They were talking about using the extra funds that they can save from not developing the roundabout and doing something else, and I want to warn them that the Nolan-Dolan Act says you cannot do that. It's illegal. And in a lot of those cases, the exaction is directly related to the impacts of the development giving rise to the exaction, and the nature of the exaction is roughly proportional to the impacts of the project, and those funds must be used in relationship to the Rancho Vista project. They can't be used for any future kind of development in the city, and there have been many lawsuits on this, and it would put us in jeopardy of a lawsuit for repayment of those funds or improperly used impact fees in this case. Second, Meritage Homes' own engineering report states that the roundabout should be installed. AMG recommends installing a roundabout at this intersection in the future. Per HDM 6, the single lane roundabout should be designed to accommodate truck, vehicle traffic, bicycle traffic, pedestrian travel, and incorporate expected future traffic growth. So I don't know where you're getting the idea that it shouldn't, because at this point it does say it should be there and it should be single lane. Noted is the fact that Meritage Homes, of course, wants to delay this until later. And I know that the Loazas do not want to give up any more land, and I don't blame them. But I still think that the roundabout should be built. And there's reasons I'll get to. Most significantly, the Federal Highway Administration asserts that roundabouts reduce the types of crashes where people are seriously hurt or killed by 78 to 82%. when compared to conventional stop, controlled, and signalized intersections. This in itself seems to be more important and one of the most important reasons for installing a roundabout. The saving of lives and or preventing serious injuries is worth this investment. And I think the sooner we get started with it, the better. Also, the corridor access management without compromising the ability to keep people and freight moving through our towns is there. Cities and regions across the nation are embracing roundabouts. They are becoming more and more popular because they are so safe. And the Federal Highway Association or Office of Safety identified roundabouts as a proven safety countermeasurement because of their ability to substantially reduce the types of crashes that result in injury or loss of life. Okay? And First Street is a residential neighborhood, and large truck traffic is not allowed by our city code, so I think we should honor that. So let us execute this code by building a smaller roundabout to adequately address this issue. Semi-trucks should not be going through this town. It's in our city code. And if those are the kind of trucks you're talking about that can't make it, whereas emergency vehicles like fire trucks and ambulances can get through there. Okay? And San Benito County's general plan speaks to all the county portions of San Juan Road and is not the controlling document within our city limits. We do not want large semi-trucks in our town, and I think the city council stated that to you. So an 85-foot roundabout, as originally planned, should be quite adequate.
Could you summarize?
And so I don't see there's any conscionable reason presented here for delay of this project. Okay, thank you.
Another one? Oh, here it comes.
Yeah, but I'm quick this time.
Yeah, hang on a minute.
Thanks.
It was very important to previous planning commissions that this roundabout and the one at 3rd Street both go in. Also, I thought that there were raised crosswalks in the conditions of approval, which I haven't seen. And I really thought that these sorts of things should be done before the houses were allowed to be lived in. But maybe I'm naive on that. But I do believe that if it's in your conditions of approval, we should do it. And if we can convince the property owner across the street that if they want to develop, a roundabout is in their interests also, so much the better. If they want to, allow it to be a little bit larger than the 85 feet. But it's supposed to be built, it should be built. And it's better than stop signs.
Any more? Going?
I turned the car in, but I guess you were
Did you ignore Tony?
Did you put 2 items on that other one?
All right.
Tony Bach, 707 4th Street. Several years ago, I want to draw your attention to attachment 1B on your proposal here. It shows a truck route. Several years ago, we got a petition together and we eliminated the truck route going down 4th Street, east on Monterey, and west on 1st Street. It went through the city council, it went through the board of supervisors who were in charge of that further section. All right. So this map is in error. And there is not going to be a truck route coming through our town. I don't understand. I would think that we could get one certified police officer and he could pay for his salary just nailing these clowns. But anyhow, then my other idea was Rancho Vista set aside a certain amount of money for this roundabout. I would suggest that at the very least we have them put that money in escrow. When the property on the other side of the road decides to get developed, that you could put a stipulation in that you're going to have a roundabout. You've got half the money or whatever it is already in escrow. And get around that. The whole premise of that subdivision was based, or not the whole premises, but a lot of it was based on that roundabout. And believe me, I told Michelle this. Roger and I talked about it. Roger designed it, and I said at the time, that's a little bit tight. He says, yeah. He says, it'll keep Bracco and Mark's Towing really busy, because those guys are going to go through there and they're going to get jammed up, and they're going to have to call a tow truck. And it only takes one or two of them, and then we're going to stop all these damn trucks going through town. And it's getting worse. So my suggestion, like I say, is put the money in escrow. When the property on the east side decides to get developed, they can cooperate and we can put a nice roundabout in there. Or put the small one in. Get a lot of truckers mad at us. Thank you.
Okay. Any more? Okay, public comment is closed. I'll bring it up to us. Let us start.
I'll let.
Please, want to start? We'll go right.
Well, I think if we have already we were waiting for some, some subjects about the last meeting, right?
Permits.
Yeah,
But they
permits
got
and
permits to build the
agreements.
road that they had, the fence. We brought that up to you.
Let's see.
Because we built that road, that fence, right? We're discussing that.
Yeah,
And
last
you were
meeting.
supposed to see if they got permits for all that.
We have some agreements with
on the
the.
Loyosa property?
No.
No.
On Meritage? Everything that they've developed
No,
is...
it was for any kind of papers or projects or agreements with the.
Oh, you don't have the conditions of approval?
Yeah. Or actually any kind of permits, okay, maybe in my notes, I'm about to go back and check.
I think that it was requested in the last meeting that, can I talk now or? I think that what's going on here is very interesting to me. It was planned early, when this Rancho Vista was going in, that we're going to put a cul-de-sac, a roundabout there, also on Hawani and 3rd Street. And if it's 85 feet versus 105 feet, fine, whatever we decide to do. As far as I'm concerned, you could even put a smaller one there and it'll still work with trucks. Trucks will do amazing things on any kind of side of roundabouts. I've been to Seattle.
Yeah.
I've been to Phoenix, and they have, in their residential area, they have small roundabouts that allow trucks to go through. So to say that we're going to stop the trucks, that's a good question. But the important thing is, we were supposed to, it was agreed with the condition that we'd have these roundabouts put in. I don't see how, whatever happens between one developer to the other, how they come here and tell us that they're not going to put it in.
Yeah.
And our question last week was, where's the permits that authorize them to do what they're doing now? That was my question. They put in a 3-stop intersection in there without a permit, as far as I'm concerned. And that was the question. And if there's a permit to do that, so be it. But I don't think it was authorized. So how did they do that? When did they do that? To me, that was the wrong thing to do, because that leaves us without a roundabout that needs to go in there. So that question is yet to be answered, and I haven't heard. I cannot make any kind of decision here tonight. We're not supposed to anyway. It's just discussing. So, as far as the other properties are concerned, we have bent over backward for all the properties here in San Juan. This, whether this administration or previous administration, we always do that. And for property owners to come back and tell us that they're not going to do something because the city wants to do it and what have you, they have to realize, other property owners have to realize that we have always worked together and we expect them to work with us. Now, I don't understand why we put the plan in if all the property owners weren't in agreement at the time. So we're getting mixed signals here, and I don't think this is right. So we need to get this thing straightened out, and we need to understand, our developers need to understand, and by the way, homeowners are developers too. I mean, we are all developers here. So we have to work together, united, and do the right thing. And why sit down and put all these maps put together, tentative maps, what have, and come here and ask for approval or authorization. And those things are neglected and ignored, as far as I'm concerned. Disappointed to hear that from the developers, or any developer to come forward to say that, well, we can't do it now. So that's my opinion.
It's not fair.
Well, it seems to me that originally from the Christopher Ranch forward to Rancho Vista is that they have obligated themselves to put in an 85-foot roundabout. And it seems to me that I understand why the Loaises don't want to give away any more property, but it seems to me that this is to their benefit too, based on the schematics that we've seen on the paperwork that you sent, Todd, is that maybe not tomorrow, but in the future, it's going to benefit them just as well to have that roundabout, the 105-foot roundabout there, because when they develop, it'll already be there for them to use. And I'm a little bit confused with the San Benito County has designated that highway as an artery, but yet the city says that the trucks cannot go through there. So does San Benito County general plan trump what we're trying to do in the city? That's confusing to me. And, you know, we don't want those trucks going through San Juan Bautista, and that's why we have the ordinances that say that they can't, but yet we're trying to make it so that they can fit through there. I mean, that just is counterintuitive to me to have them do that. So my opinion is that at the very minimum they need to do what they said they were going to do and put in an 85-foot roundabout there. And if we can get the Loaises on board, that's going to benefit them in the long run for an artery out of their subdivisions that they're going to do, is that it's going to be to their benefit too. And if anybody can answer, the San Benito County main artery trump what we're trying to do in the city to keep those trucks out, would be greatly appreciated.
Okay. Public comments closed. Truck. We need a definition of truck. Are we talking?
No, we don't need a definition.
But I mean, but hang on. I'm going there. I know. I'm going there. And I get the whole. So years back, and Tony might be able to confirm this. By resolution, the city of San Juan Bautista abolished the truck route that went from 1st to Monterey Street to 4th Street. It does not exist, and you can look the resolution up for that. And I was at this meeting when it happened. The trucks were doing tons of damage to our infrastructure. The county didn't want to budge, but then we came back, and I think George Diaz came back and said, "Well, that's fine. Then you need to back pay us for all the repairs that we've done over the last 30 some odd years." And then they kind of budged. So it is not a truck route. Period. Look it up in the resolution.
What was that year? Stop.
Beats me. I can get you a ballpark on this one, but this was 15 years ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago. 80 foot. So an 85-foot. Roundabout, that'll accommodate passenger vehicles. What's the largest vehicle that an 85-foot roundabout can use?
So attachment 1C in the staff report identifies truck lengths.
Yep.
And defines them, and the 85-foot roundabout will pass the SU30.
Pass the what?
The SU30.
Stands for single unit, 30 feet.
So a box fan, a box truck.
That's the largest and that can pass through there.
Well, we don't have any city buses through here, and tractor trailers are not allowed on First Street. So
school bus.
yeah, they're not allowed. Build a roundabout. You're supposed to build a roundabout. So.
Can I have a chance to address the council?
Of course. I'm finished.
My name is John Chakas, Land Development Manager with Meritage Homes. First off, just want to set a few misconceptions aside. Meritage Homes has absolutely no prerogative to delay a development of an infrastructure item or to not install what was on the conditions of approval. The reason why we're here tonight is because starting last February, we were doing some minor plan revisions, going back through the plan approval process of our plan revision. And at the time, the previous contract city engineer, Mr. John Fair, wanted my new civil engineer that we have to stamp the set of plans. And that civil engineer did not agree with the 85-foot roundabout because that is more of a, if you want to call it, a residential road type roundabout, one that you would see inside of a city, like just regular neighborhood streets.
That is a neighborhood street, sir.
Yeah.
But it's defined as an arterial. First Street is defined as an arterial. Correct.
You're wrong. That's incorrect. By Rezo, that truck route was closed.
Well, okay. Well, they were only going by what they were directed. So, just to kind of just lay a little bit of groundwork here. So the direction that we had was, okay, well, we will do an analysis, see what actually will work. So we got a third-party traffic engineer, and they proposed a 105-foot roundabout. That works for traffic calming, works on, whether it's a misconception or not, it works on an arterial if that road was an arterial. That is where we came up with the 105-foot diameter. At that time, we prepared a layout, provided it to the city to discuss with the Loyozas because it would impact their property. The roundabout cannot go further west into our property because the bridge is already built, it crosses the creek, the creek's there. We're kind of landlocked on the west side, so it could only then push out to the east. So the 85-foot roundabout has a 5,668 square foot impact to the Loyosa property. The 105-foot roundabout would have a 13,199 square foot impact to the Loyosa property. So working with Michelle, she talked to them. They were not willing to give up the additional right-of-way for the 105-foot roundabout. So then we went back and said, okay, well, the other option is, if you look at it with the traffic study, is an all-way stop. So if you do look at the report, an all-way stop compared to a roundabout, they're still both level of service A. The time differential as far as the delay is only 2 seconds. So as far as the service that you're getting at that intersection doesn't change. We did have a conference call with Michelle and Frank and said, as an addition, so you don't have a three-way stop and a three-way stop at Awanahee, eliminate the 2 stop signs on First Street at Awanahee, make that just a single way, a one-way stop control. So you just shift it there. So the level of service doesn't change at any of those intersections. It shifted the three-way stop further to the north. And then we provide a layout, said that you could put rumble strips if you wanted to, like the little grooves that you put into the asphalt to slow traffic down to come to that if you're worried about slowing traffic down. So Meritage Homes is in no way trying to get out of this. The roundabout, our cost is approximately $124,000 to construct that 85-foot roundabout. If we were to do the all-way stop, $61,000, and if we were to do a grind and overlay of First all the way to the northerly project limits, that's another $45,000. If we added on some beautification and maybe a little city sign, then if you're talking about trying to keep the cost comparable, that matches the cost pretty much, within a couple $1,000s. So that's what we're pitching here is the 85, if it is an arterial, doesn't work. It only satisfies a single unit 30-foot truck. Anything larger, like a moving vehicle coming through, right? People got to move. They have to be able to get their moving truck in there, or whatever other larger vehicles might come through, they would get stuck there. And now you have a vehicle stuck, as a way to get into this community.
How do moving vehicles go through neighborhoods then?
I don't know, but
They have rounded curves.
right. But most of those have like an actual drivable apron. The one that was here designed has like a cobbled apron, so you're getting jammed up on there. We can obviously look to redesign that and take that cobble out and put a drivable apron. The cost is about the same. So we're not trying to get out of it work here. We just wanted to come to a resolution. We've been discussing with the city essentially since last February, and we actually want to get the work done because right now, we're trying to sell homes, and the project frontage looks unfinished. That's not appealing for someone looking to buy a new home to see what appears to be an unfinished project. So the sooner we can get this done, the better it is actually for our sales and for finishing the project and doing what we're required to. So that's what we'd like you to consider. Thank you.
The restaurant is going up on 3rd and Awani. Is that a 105-foot?
It's 85-foot as well. Do you have the plans? Do you remember, John, the roundabout by Vista?
I don't know. I don't. We're not
I believe it's
constructing
the
that.
exact same design.
So then how the trucks will get through that?
Well, they don't normally go through there. That street is super narrow right there.
And it's going to be wide.
It's going to be wide. It's going to be widening, and then another roundabout's going to fill in there. I can go get the plans if you guys want.
I have a question.
Introduce yourself.
Well,
she's part of this. She's the property
she should have
owner.
stood up before.
Well, this conversation was not done before, so.
Yeah.
I was thinking, if you need a roundabout, why couldn't it be to the end of our property when you first come in? There is more space right at that corner. That's it. Thank you.
She's the property owner to the east. So she's the one that give up the land.
This is Ms. Loaiza. I'm sorry, thank you, I just didn't know who
That's all about sure. I wanted to make sure.
And it's obvious to me they're not going to give up any property, which is fine by me. It's their property. Yeah. Well,
The other corner is also our property, but there is more space there.
John, would that work? I think the retention pond goes all the way to the end, doesn't it? You'd have to build another bridge and entryway.
That makes it. Building another bridge is not.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair and reasonable in this regard.
Sure.
Yeah.
But maybe you can tend to the move, a little, and not to your property. Basically, you can tend to that property.
Well, you're kind of limited because our road Lagomino, it's already constructed, and First Street is kind of where it is, right? So I don't know how much you can change it without getting some really wonky.
I have a question on that. Did you know that there was supposed to be a roundabout the day that the first shovel went in the ground? Did you know that there was supposed to be a roundabout at that intersection?
Correct, yes.
But you went ahead and built Labanino with no contingency of being able to put that roundabout in. Were you banking solely on their property the whole time?
No, I think what happened was you put that big underground sump in there, or whatever that is. That you're saying you can't go any further out
Because they already have a road there.
They already have a road there.
They put
right.
the road there knowing full well there was supposed to be a roundabout there.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying I thought there was something else you were saying. There's something on your property that couldn't allow for 105.
No, well,
Yeah, the road.
it can't move, or the physical roundabout can't shift to the further to the west.
I understand that. I'm just saying, going from 85 to 100 to 105.
Everything has to push to the east. Like Lagomino
It can't
right now,
go to the west because...
the bridge and the creek.
Right, that's what I thought.
Right.
Everything that's there already.
So Lagomino is designed that you can accommodate
Yeah.
85, 105, or always stop.
But if you went with an 85, it would have been okay.
It will still work correct.
Yeah, it would have been okay with the way it is without going any further to any other property.
Correct.
I understand that. But all I'm saying is, how do we get to that point at that time and say, hey, it's okay to do that then, but now we can't do it?
I think that's Scott's point. I mean, and I think the key here is that you guys, and I think we talked about it on the phone, it was an oversight, and John Bayless said, shame on us, when they purchased a developed, ready-to-go development. Meritage purchased this.
They know what they're doing.
And
They're not a little company that just showed up yesterday. I mean,
I know, and they admitted to this oversight, Scott. That's what I'm trying to say. They inherited this development. Shame on us for not recognizing that this roundabout doesn't work.
shame on us.
No, on them. I'm being the developer.
Yeah, don't speak. Yeah.
When I was on the conference call with them, our oversight, shame on us. We should have checked that. Our bad. It's not going to work. Our traffic engineer will not sign off on it. If we go, because I pushed him. I said, you got to do this. I mean, this is something that we all want in this community. This is going to be a huge problem. The Loyosas are already down the road with their development. They're not willing to give up any additional land. We've got to figure out how to make this work. So then it came to this trucks getting clogged and no traffic engineers will sign off on it. They won't build it, or they won't. Tell us about the safety risks and insurance and why it can't be built anyway.
Well, I mean, our civil engineer that we have right now, if we go with the 85-foot roundabout, they won't put their name on that. So we'll have to go get a different civil engineer to design it or put their stamp on that set of plans. The original civil engineer that started the design, initiated by the land seller, San Benito Engineering, we fired them off the job because their plans were not buildable. A lot of the design considerations that they had in their plans, my contractors could not build, so we had to get a new civil engineer on board to basically make the plans that work. So them putting an 85-foot roundabout, they're not a traffic engineer. They did not get a traffic engineer to kind of input that design. They just drew an 85-foot roundabout, and the previous city engineer approved it without consideration of traffic impacts, whether it is or isn't an arterial or anything like that.
Okay, so your engineer is going by the assumption that it is an arterial, and then it needs a 105. So all we have to do is prove that it's not, and we can move on with this. And it was voted via resolution of the San Juan Bautista City Council that this truck route was abolished.
Okay.
So we need to find that. And I know Shauna was the city clerk. I'll hit her up to see if she remembers.
Well, we can find it now that we know. I didn't know about that, because this arterial thing was one of the roadblocks. Now the other
Tony,
thing
what
is,
was it? 10, 12 years ago, probably.
Yeah, probably at least 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
so this other thing about one of the things that have come up, because we've had hours and hours of conversation around this, and believe me, I want this, and they know that I want this. The way that what's going to happen to the roundabout if trucks drive over it. Like one of the things that came up on the conference calls or somewhere in the discussion, that roundabout will eventually, if we build it so trucks can move over it, it'll degrade and it'll break, and I think somebody had mentioned it would get destructed after a while. You want to speak to that?
Well, I mean, because if you look at the turning radius you have, when you have a large roundabout, right, you go, any place, you naturally slow because you have a radius that you're going around.
Yeah, but
this has a very small radius, so, theoretically, it's not going to slow anyone down. It's not acting necessarily as a traffic calming feature like you would hope on that road.
But the truck doesn't swing in, it swings out, so it'd go onto your property. It wouldn't damage that. I used to drive, and you'd swing out that way. It's called a button hook. You'd go out into your property.
Well, there's no into the property. There's a bridge there.
That's what they'd be going over, so they wouldn't do it. That's why these guys are saying they get stuck. Well, we can't go this way.
Well, if they can't swing out far enough because there's a bridge or a little retaining wall, they're just going to drive straight over the apron.
I think we're missing the point, is it's not a truck route.
Exactly. That's
right. So we work with the county, we get some signage up, we'll sign the heck out of it. There is a roundabout coming. Trucker comes through it, hopefully we can get the guy if he's doing the damage.
Somewhere along the line, somebody told me that if they keep going over that, say they don't get caught and they just go right over it, that it'll destroy that roundabout.
Well, I live right off of First Street, and I probably see a big rig once every, I would say maybe twice a month, go through there. And that's just some poor guy that got lost because his GPS said him to go around.
I had a big rig do a U-turn in front of my property. In other words, they went into Yohani and went in there and turned around, took out portions of the gutter and one of the signs that the city put up. Well, it didn't take out the sign, but ruined their stuff.
That was this year, right?
That happened about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know there was another one that had to do a U-turn.
I understand all that, but I know that there are roundabouts that truck regularly go over. And they're all over the different cities and in residential areas that are smaller than 85. But,
so that's why I wanted to meet you guys.
Here.
I really wanted to vet this out. I wanted to get all this discussion out in public and...
It's just that we put our hearts into this. The whole city did. And, we're a law-abiding city. In other words, we make up the laws here. We are the law. United we are. And we put these things in, and people need to respect that and put them in. And I don't understand how we got into this mess in the first place. Because somebody should have said, I know they're bad, but they should have said, oops, we should go with 105 or whatever at the time. But everybody was happy that we're going with the experts. And this is what we get.
Yeah, I don't think we should settle for oversight.
No.
If there was oversight in somebody else's, other than us.
So you guys decide. If you guys make the recommendation. If you want to continue with the roundabout, ask John, go get a different civil engineer, see if you can get somebody to sign it. What happens if nobody signs off on the roundabout? If you can't get a civil engineer to sign off on that roundabout, what happens?
Well, I think the key that Mr. Friel said is that if you can provide some kind of documentation that it is indeed not an arterial, that might be sufficient for my engineer to sign off on it. But everything that they've been going off with, that's what they've been told.
That's understood. Yes,
Things
move a little slow over in San Diego County, on Ulster End especially.
They're a licensed engineer. They have to look out for their liability as well too. They can't design something that they're going to come back and get sued for. So that's their own.
I don't know about the suit part, but I get it. So we need to move forward with this. I think until we get the documentation proving that it's not a truck route.
But this is a major gateway too. A lot. It means a lot to the future.
I have a real skepticism about traffic engineers. They're the ones that said that nobody exceeded 27 miles an hour on 4th Street. We all know that's a lie. You see them come up past my house, Monterey and 4th, and make the turn. That's as wide as this 85 foot. All right, I mean 80 foot. I don't know what the lanes are actually on the roundabout, but it just seems to me. I think they came up there, put it in. And that map that they got, I don't know where the hell they got that map.
I don't either.
But I know, I can't remember how far back it was. It was 2 years after True Leaf opened up. And the thing that got Manuel and I was, one night at 1 o'clock in the morning, we counted them. 40 trucks at 1 o'clock in the morning came through San Juan. And within about an hour. And that's when we said, hey, we got to stop this. Like I say, I don't know where that's the first time I've ever seen that, calling that a truck route.
Yeah, that's, and there is a sign right there at the intersection of Prescott that says no rig. So,
We've asked
I know we abolished
You
it.
know-
We beat this to death, but I was here and it happened, and I know because the city of San Juan threatened the county with basically a lawsuit and saying, hey, then start paying us money back for all the repairs we've done.
Okay, you guys can imagine about an 85-foot roundabout. What about the clown that drove up to the water tank with the 18-wheeler?
Poor guy.
Come on.
He didn't know.
He's not up there. He's gone now.
Okay, yeah, let's find out about, let's get that reso and then
So
we
we'll
can,
get you the
then we move on.
resolution, see if
And that'll make life easier for you because like Tony says, I have no idea where they got that idea. Okay, can we move on? Have you beat it to death? Good. Wow. Okay.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I don't understand what this is. Placement of wayfinding and decorative signage in San Juan.
That was his
Talked about that
alternative.
last week or last month.
That was the alternative. He came up if we weren't here.
Yeah.
What's that?
We're on B, discussion item.
Well, that.
No, that's the way finding signage.
You're up.
Out there?
No, hold on.
Okay.
We're on the discussion item B, Todd.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to
Yeah.
this, please?
Yeah, sure thing. Let me go ahead and I'll start it off. Commissioner
Frank.
Delgado, if I may, let me just go ahead and address this. The arch from the last meeting you were referring to, that was about the roundabout when it was first introduced, and we were saying, okay, in place of a roundabout, how about an archway? That's what this is. The wayfinding sign is something totally different. So let me just say that real clear for the record. Okay, this is something I'm working closely with, and this is going to be something more to come. This is just an introduction. It's in resurrection of an old idea to provide a series of rustic-looking signs for directions of certain places here in town. As people coming off the highway, whether it be the Mission, whether it be downtown, and it has like a rustic type of design. This was something that was actually introduced to me, I think it was like during my first week with the city. And myself and our committee member, Heidi Balls, went for a walk around town, and we pointed out certain locations of where these would be located. And anyway, I don't have any designs right now, but there's a sign company that we're working with right now. And they like to go ahead and make some designs for us, and we like to bring them to the Planning Commission when ready. This is just an idea that we want to bring forward. This is what we're talking about. This kind of came about maybe within the last few weeks or so, but this is separate from monument signs or archway signs. Totally different. Okay. So I just want to make that distinction. And so anyway, I don't have any designs right now, but the ones that I did have and I held on to, we gave those to the sign company, and they're going to try and make this up. It would be like a wooden stake with kind of like a Wild West type theme, and it would be placed in serious locations here in town. So anyway, it's just something to kind of FYI type thing. So
I think something in conjunction with that was talking about that kiosk on 3rd Street. That was all part of that discussion.
Kiosk actually, I believe, is separate as well. That was actually for something specific.
Oh, was it?
Right there. And then the wayfinding signs was something, that was an old idea, and now it's kind of gaining steam again.
Okay.
I mean, you could relate them, but the way I'm seeing this, it's a separate thing.
Okay.
We have a couple really good examples of those wayfinding signs. One is on the first one as soon as you get them in town, and one, I don't know if it's still there, but one used to be by the Valero gas station. They were Al Zeller signs, and that's a wonderful idea. And I would like, if it's okay, I'd like to get a hold of Val Eglin. She was one of his students for years.
Sure.
And see if she can kind of give us an idea on that look. They're pretty cool. They're pretty unique. I don't remember the mission one. That one of the ends was turned backwards. I mean, Zeller always had this little twist, you know.
Yeah.
But they were. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel unless we can just take that look, because all of our road signs were all the street signs were all Zeller signs also. And those are really hard to copy now. I know Boy Scout did a couple, and he came pretty close. I don't know for an Eagle Scout project. But yeah, those are all Zellers too. So if we can just use that basic, and it's a brown, kind of a brown and white type design, nothing too obtrusive.
Yellow paint.
Yeah, instead of the greenish type or or something a little chew over the top. But yeah, it's just good examples of one right there on the when you come in
Franklin
town.
Circle has one too. Well, it had one. I don't know if they took it out. There used to be a wooden thing. Remember, right in that roundabout, they used to have.
Yeah.
Doesn't she belong to the strategic planning committee?
No, she lives in
San Benito County.
she's in San
San
Benito
County.
County.
Why can't this be a task for the strategic planning committee?
And she's a native daughter too. So.
It's an idea. You know what? It's an idea, and it's something that's been talked about. And like I said, myself and Heidi Balls were
Because
working
they can
together.
put more time into it.
Yeah, and also we just want to bring it forward to the planning commission.
And I think to bring Alex, commemorating that'd be great to use that style.
Yeah. We can get some samples as time goes on. Keep in mind, this is not a done deal. This is just an FYI introduction.
Besides, she's fun to talk to. She's so cool.
That's all I have tonight, folks.
Okay. That's it? Well, aside from orientation, training, education, what's that?
Wait.
I missed all of President Trump's speech.
Oh.
You didn't miss anything. We're
sorry.
supposed to paint for the walls.
I'm kind of bummed that I missed it myself, but I guess we give up next time. Let's see, training.
Yeah. 7C there, Scott. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry if I just go and give a quick overview.
You bet.
Okay. This is kind of relates to our first meeting, and I remember there was some concern. We wanted to pull like a special meeting like late in the afternoon, kind of do some like orientation training type deal. We'd like to just bring this up, and this kind of relates to the point that you and I were talking about, Scott, before, about watching the agenda. Let's make sure it doesn't get too full and all that.
Like tonight's?
Yeah, good example. So anyway, I like...
That will happen again. Go
Do
ahead.
you guys need me?
Do you have any comments?
No.
Okay.
This is good. I'm very, very happy about how the roundabout discussion.
Nothing she can say to Tom.
Be careful.
Good point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, anyway, just continuing on, Scott, is that,
No.
for the time being, is that re-educating, commissioners on Robert's Rules, Brown Act, that kind of thing. I'd be basically just tonight, is there any ideas about, should we just set aside maybe a commission meeting and just have an exclusive, if you will? It doesn't have to be a special meeting. It could be like a regular scheduled meeting, but we just make it exclusive. That means...
No,
We've had that issue before, right?
Yeah, we still have to agendize it.
it would be a special meeting, kind of a workshop arrangement, and staff would present. The city clerk's office would like to present stuff around Brown Act, and then there's the Planning Commissioner's Handbook, and some of the guidelines and the HRB ordinance and all of that. Make them accessible to you, or where to find them.
But don't we have to have it public?
Yes, it will be. Yes, they will be invited.
Trish, is there a way we can get the Brown Act? I know there's a pamphlet that they put out. Can we get those in the interim so everybody can cruise through that wonderful...
Keeps getting updated, so that pamphlet.
I know, it's...
Keep in mind, don't get me wrong, it would definitely be agendized. What I'm saying, instead of a special meeting, why don't we just, keep it as a regular meeting, and it's all on the agenda, and it's really exclusive for that topic, those topics.
Because it could go a long time.
Our meetings are up.
It could go some time.
Won't it get longer if we do that?
That alone could take, I would just give an hour to it, but do you want any one item on our agenda to be pegged for an hour?
It's, you know what, that's what I'm just throwing out the idea.
We can work on that.
So you're open to sending an email?
Oh, I think
especially
so.
with the new one.
Definitely,
And,
yeah.
and they're headed to Planning Commission conference in Long Beach
You
also.
go, all three of you go?
Yep.
Awesome, good. Long Beach.
On my flight.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
So a concern with that, by the way, if we can address this, is there will not be a quorum for the March meeting because for 4 of.
Oh, yeah. So we'll just
By
have
the way,
to.
Scott,
Oh.
you're invited too. You want to go to Long Beach
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
on March 6th through 8th? If you would like the training as well.
Oh, no, that's the one I just did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
They do touch on CEQA and ethics and a couple other things like that. So
March.
But the sequel one is so exciting.
So we will have to probably reschedule the March meeting.
Okay, what's the dates for the training?
The training is the 6th.
So we're going down the
6th, 7th, 8th.
We'll be gone for 4 days.
But
Where you going?
everybody flies in on Tuesday night, so that's why we had this. We'd like to switch up the meeting for Tuesday. That would be Tuesday the 5th.
Tuesday the 5th, yes, ma'am. I have it right here.
So if we put it off till, would that be the 13th?
March 12th is the
12th.
following Tuesday.
I thought March 12th was a Wednesday. I'm probably
March 12th.
I have the calendar.
The Tuesday?
Yeah. But you're going to be working probably.
No, my shift changed.
Whoa.
And I'm
Tuesday,
on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday now.
1 to 2 and Friday.
Yeah, I think that was the 12th. I'm trying
Is
to
the
think.
12th look okay for everybody else
Yes.
as well?
Hang on.
Tuesday, right?
Yes. Okay.
It doesn't affect St. Patrick's Day at all. I'm okay with it.
Oh, does it affect St. Patty's?
No.
No, that's the 17th. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you for that.
I'll be in
I just
Northeast.
I hadn't put it on the
St.
agenda
Patty's
and I
is
wanted to
17th,
find a
so-
place to bring it in so that we could discuss it. Thank you.
And is that what we'll do at that meeting? We'll tackle some of the Brown Act stuff,
Some of it, yeah. We could present it in sections.
we could, yeah, let's do a little bit and then,
Try to get the materials to you in advance so that you have a list of questions.
yeah, and we'll work on the next agenda, not getting too bombed on the next agenda.
Okay, there's a few things that were, of course, continued tonight, so
Yeah,
those are
well,
good
and that's
suggestions.
pending if we get the information for them. Okay.
Because right now, I think we can expect the Valero gas station, that design, and then Lost Swings project too.
Yeah, I don't know if didn't sound like the Valero was going to be anytime soon. But.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Okay.
We'll just leave it up to their time frame.
Yeah. Less discussion items. Okay.
Okay. I think that's that's all I have. So,
and then we've got your report on the current and upcoming this stuff. Because I do have a question for you on it. Let's go for it.
One of the things I need to add on there, and I do apologize. First off, I have good news. It's online right now. I just updated it online. It's on the website.
Okay.
And now I just need to put a new copy up there as it gets updated. One of the things I got to add on there on the bottom is the housing element. So it's already underway. And let me make an announcement. I'm probably jumping ahead to city planner on item B comments. I'm going to say for the record, February 20th is a date that we're shooting for a public workshop of the housing element updates. Myself and the consultants, EMC Planning Group, we're looking at inviting members of the public to vet out the housing and so forth to get our data, and so that way we meet our time frames. So February 20th, now we're just trying to decide on a place. I've been reaching out to, I got a follow-up from our Historic Society on the Native Daughters to the community center, to maybe other places in town that are nice venues. I was thinking, I'm sorry, go ahead.
VFW?
That's a place I was told about too.
Yeah.
Okay.
The acoustics are better there.
All right. Yeah. Because I figured the council chambers in here, it's a little small.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Might not be enough to fit
Like the
everyone.
post office.
Okay.
What time was it?
We're shooting for 6 o'clock, just like regular meeting times. February 20th is a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Or actually, wait, let me just double check.
Where's it going to be?
We're deciding on a place.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of up in the air on a place right now. So we got to move quick. But I'll look at VFW. Thank you, David. That's pretty much all I have. I just want to make that announcement.
You're not gonna put the roundabout in here?
Wait, I think a traffic circle, isn't it?
It is? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's a traffic circle.
Hillside Vistas
Yes.
still have not pulled a permit?
We have a meeting scheduled with them on tomorrow, actually. We got a meeting with them, or excuse me, Thursday.
And what is their intention to pull permits?
We need to push them on that.
When does that expire? After the projects have been approved and, I mean, it doesn't just sit out there for millennial, does it? I mean,
Are you talking about final maps or tentative maps?
Well, obviously the first part of the project's been approved, right?
Yeah, that's right, the final map for the first 8 lots.
Yeah, and the first 8 lots, but how long have we been sitting on that?
Since what was it, 2017, I think, when it went
So
through.
I guess my question is, those first 8 lots, is there a time period as to how long they can sit on that until they get moving?
Pull permits,
Yes.
get building?
Yeah.
That is something I'll have to look into the Subdivision Map Act and to see if there's any state laws that we can hold them to. Otherwise, then it just maybe disappears, for lack of a better term.
But then they'd have to do it all over again.
Right. That's the best of my knowledge right now. I'm not aware of anything like that, but that's something I'll have to look into. So make a note to myself.
Not to add any more to your plate.
That's a really good question, because I think it's prohibitive out there.
Nothing now.
Midnight Express, they're trying to shrink, I guess.
That's correct. And they wanted to, and after discussing this internally, it was, as you know, it was approved by Planning Commission back in March 2018 for a 15,000 square foot building with the driveway and the infrastructure and all that. But over time, and this is another meeting that we need to have with them, over time is that they decided to go ahead and shrink down to a 5,000 square foot building. And so that's a pretty significant change, but because it's because of issues on there that they've come across. So because it's a smaller, less intense scope of work, that's why it was decided that, we can go ahead and do it as an administrative review. Whereas if they went bigger, like 20,000 or something like that, it'd have to come back to Planning Commission. It's always been my practice, or my experience, I should say, that if you're doing something less intense than what was approved, we can do that administratively. And, so anyway, but if you like, and it's up to the Commission's directive, if you like, we could bring that back as an item and just have Midnight Express talk about it, maybe for further review or whatever or what have you. I will say this: we have a meeting with them scheduled next week on the 13th.
I have just a couple concerns. The original meeting, their application was wrong. They gave us the wrong set of plans. I mean, the whole thing was a train wreck right from the get-go. And why we didn't continue is kind of still beyond me, but I'm just concerned about them. Okay, so we'll get the grading permit this year, and we go in and put in asphalt, and then it just sits there. And then pretty soon, there's weeds growing through the asphalt, and the place is going into disrepair. And then okay, we're going to go build a building next week, but then they put a foundation down, and after, I'm concerned with it's going to be it's a big bone of contention right there in that neighborhood. So I like the fact that they're going to shrink their project a little bit, because I think some people were concerned about the noise with the trucks in and out at night.
Todd, where is this? What is this?
Scott,
San Juan Hollister Road.
San Juan Hollister Road, across from the trailer park there. There's a property just to the west, west-southwest, that they're going to put in a small, it was pretty much, it's a produce distribution center. No deep freezers and stuff like that. Now that's another thing too. We want to find, are they planning on putting freezers in now, or?
And those are loud.
They are loud.
Yeah, it's actually still a refrigerated facility inside the building.
It's what's not supposed to be refrigerated.
No.
It's supposed to be just a basic warehouse that one truck drops off stuff, and then distribution trucks take it and go from there.
That's right. That's like the basic point.
Yeah, but there was no refrigeration on that building.
Correct.
There was no refrigeration in that building.
That based on their approval.
Except for if they were going to do that, they would have left the trailer there with refrigeration.
And that was about
If they were gonna do that.
Yeah, so that building's just a warehouse, basically a distribution warehouse.
Yep.
Okay.
And that, if you would ask them if they're downsized, if their 5,000 square foot warehouse is going to be refrigerated, and then if that's the case, I think it should come back before us and the public. Because then that changes, that's a game changer.
Yeah, because, and understood, and, because it was the interpretation that, okay, it's less intense, but we'll ask the question about what, refrigeration.
Let's ask
that.
them.
And then,
I don't want anything snuck in on this.
For sure.
Because we kind of mulled over that one for a while. So
thanks to me.
You're a good mower. I don't have anything else on that job. Anybody else on the trifold?
No.
Okay. Move to comments. Planning commissioners, any comments?
I'm sorry.
Just one thing. I with a full disclosure. I sent the deputy city clerk, and the city manager an email this month, and I asked to see the agendas before they're posted. My goal is not to blow out these 9:45, 10 o'clock meetings. The original agenda I saw was much smaller than the one that actually got posted, so I'm going to have another talk with our city manager on this, and I think she understands that we got a little overwhelmed on this one. So my goal is not to overwhelm us. I want you to be here. I don't want you to quit on me and say, I've had enough because I can't read 30-page soil reports and then deal with roundabouts too.
Well, I think we can do that, but not at the last minute get all this stuff that's inundated, because I got it. But I called you this morning, and I couldn't read that 30-page, which I would have, because I was looking at the first one about the grading. I just need more time and more, not last minute slipping,
Yeah, and we need to work on that too.
So I need to know what's going on.
Get it right the first time.
Because this was available on Friday, you said, this stuff?
Actually, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I have the packet, everything ready. Stuff got added.
Well, we'd have to come and get the tablet, right?
But
it's
sent to them electronically. Anybody can open it on Wednesday afternoon.
And plus, it's on the website.
But they add so
I
much.
finally did it this time.
Yeah, we did get some add-ons.
But if you send out the note with the link, you did.
Okay. That from henceforth, yes.
Yeah, if you put the link on there, it's a lot better to go through page after page.
The addition of soil report was my fault. I found out it was part of the construction package.
No, I also asked.
And I wanted it seen by everybody. I mean, for all I know, Shirley could be a geologist and could have helped us out on that one. So you probably are, huh? You're sandbagging on it.
I think when there's an informal project review, maybe we should ask them to keep it to 10, 15 minutes. I think that just kind of went on and on.
Well, yeah. But
it's just informal. There's
Yeah,
no
that's
project, there's no decision. It's just they're getting your feel about it, but this was not really a specified project. It was, maybe I'll do that.
I know
Maybe
it was a
I'll do
little
that.
late. So, okay. Anything?
I think just to kind of reiterate to your point, Scott, is that, with agendas and all that, we can always go over them, as we start to craft them and all that, well in advance. Like you and I can meet and all that and just go through this one I got coming down the pipes. What do you think, this coming hearing, or should we push it out? What do you think? That kind of thing.
That was the goal. That's why I asked Trish to send them to me before, because I can tell you the discussion items there was only 2 things on there. And then it went from 2 to 4, and the roundabout was going to be a beauty, So I understand trying to get this roundabout through, but maybe we should have deleted a couple more. And there was something on there about I think the windows and stuff like that. But that's not part of the agenda, so we can't really talk about it. So so that's I'm trying to streamline it a little bit for us. Sometimes stuff isn't quite as important as some people, maybe developers or whatever think it is. So nothing against developer. I'm the son and grandson of developer. Okay, anything else? Good. Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Scott, can I make one comment? I haven't been to a planning commission meeting in 8 years. All right. I made it a practice while I was on the council not to come in. I didn't want to see what was going on in case something got appealed. Anyways, I wanted congratulate you guys. You're doing a good job. You're looking out for the city, which has always been my thing. I've always, I don't care what you do as long as you don't hurt San Juan.
Exactly.
Scott, you're doing a good job.